Welcome to another video with Mrs. Bramer. Today we are looking at lesson 3 of our dividing fractions unit. We're actually going to be dividing a fraction by another fraction today using the common denominator approach. Since the fractions that we have on the board right now, 3/4 divided by 1/4, already have a common denominator, we're going to jump right into modeling them. Now some people might ask, which fraction should I start with, 3/4 or 1/4? Go ahead and start with the 3/4, our first fraction there. And that's because 3/4 is larger and we're looking for how many 1/4 go into the 3/4. So I'll go ahead and draw out 3/4 for us. I'm crossing out one of the boxes to show that we have 3 of the fourths. Okay, so this is what we have, and we want to see how many 1/4 go into the parts that we have. 1/4, of course, would be one of the 4 boxes. So we have 1, 2, 3 of them. Now some of you might like to keep track as you go, and that's totally fine. So our answer to this problem is that 1/4 goes into 3/4 3 times. Let's try a problem where we don't start with a common denominator. So how about 8/9 divided by 1/3. Now we don't have a common denominator yet, so I want you to think, what's a multiple that 9 and 3 both go into? Anyone?
3.
Not 3, we need a multiple, not a factor. Good try though.
27.
They both do go into 27. Let's think, what's the smallest multiple that they both go into?
9.
9 would work. So would 27. But we'd have to simplify a little bit more at the end. So let's go with 9. 1/3 is equivalent to 3/9. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. Okay, now that we have our common denominator, we can go ahead and do our model. Again, I'm starting with 8/9 because I'm trying to see how many 3/9 go into the 8/9. I've X'd out one of the 9ths to show that we have 8/9. Now I'm looking for groups of 3. Before we were looking for groups of 1 because we had 1/4 that we wanted, but now we want 3/9. There's one group of 3, another group of 3. Oh, and we don't have 3 at the end here. We only have 2 of the 3 that we want. Since we only have 2 of the 3 that we need to circle it, we can write 2/3. We can't circle it because it's not enough, but we have 2 of the 3 that we needed. So our final answer here is 2 and 2/3. Let's try one more problem. And this also happens to be the first problem on the homework that we gave today. Today we're going to model 6/2 divided by 3/4. Now 6/2 is improper. So some people might say, well, how do we show that? Well, before we even get to that, let's get a common denominator. We have 4 and we have 2. What's the least common multiple that they both go into? Anybody? 4 and 2.
8.
They do both go into 8. Can you think of anything smaller that they both go into?
4.
4 would work. Let's do that. So instead of 6/2, if we double both of these, we could have 12/4. Okay, so 12/4 I'm going to model by making, let's see, there's 4/4. This is improper, so I want to show that this is more than one group. So 4/4, we're up to 8/4. And now we have our 12/4. We want to circle groups of 3/4. There's one group. Here's another. Here's a third. And I happen to have 3/4 there. They are in different boxes, but that's okay. I'll just connect them this way. And I have no individual or separate boxes that are just left over. So our answer for this problem is 4. You may notice kind of a neat trick. When you have the common denominators, if you just look at the numerators, 12 and 3, and divided those, you'd get the same answer. and that will always work for you. Okay, thanks for joining us for another lesson with Mrs. Bramer.